You're sounding like a growly robot. You sound like a monster.
Right now? What do I do with this? Okay, let's do a whole episode like this one day. And then we...
And why did you say that like you're an announcer in the 1940s? And then she had her hands up because she didn't know what to do with them.
And then they said, "Put your hands up," and I went like this, and then I was confused at what they do, and I'm just a dame on the street trying to get by. Next me, read all about it.
She's white, very white. She likes ranch dressing, and
she has a live, love, laugh in her house.
This might be a bad idea, Marie.
You know, I've talked to you about this before, about how I so badly want to do like our own little segment together. And I'm like,
yes.
what is it? What is it? Like, what can we do?
I don't know.
And then I was thinking, okay, you have blonde hair. I have blonde hair now. And then you drink coffee. I could also be drinking coffee, and we could have a show called Blonde Roast.
That's cute.
Even if we don't really feel this way, we could roast things like movies and video games and shows and stuff.
I'm here for it. Yes. I want to do it. Funny? That's perfect. It's so good. Because that's all we do is just criticize crap half the time. Like, honestly, we're like, give your honest review. And we're like, do you really want my honest review? I don't think so, but I will give my hot take.
We could do it on anything, like video games or movies or heck, music. Who knows? Like, it could be anything.
Just the roast of the day, the house special. This is what's hot today.
Yeah, well, we got brewing today, Jess. Hey, there we go.
Here, you know what else? You know what makes me mad though today? The fact this just reminded me looking at this mug. This mug makes me mad today because this mug I've had since like college, and I broke 3 mugs in the last month that have been like I've liked more. My both Overwatch mugs that I own broke, and one of my owl mugs busted. But no, this stupid mug that I got from a Goodwill in college still survives. I don't understand. The world isn't fair.
No, it's because they don't make them like they used to, man. They used to put pride and they used to craft. Someone put care into that. Those are like cranes or something on there.
I don't know. I picked it up because it was like 2 cents at a Goodwill one time in college, and I was broke.
It's priceless because clearly it's been outliving all the modern day.
You know, it will survive the nuclear fallout. It will be around when it's.
Ooh, Jess, good segue. Good segue into our topic today. If anyone didn't guess what our topic was today, I mean,
another Goodwill find from Jess.
From movies to video games, welcome to Marie Plays It All. Today's episode is a deep dive into, what are we deep diving today, Jess?
Not Fallout 76.
Kind of, not really, but kind of. Oh,
there we go.
We are talking about the Fallout show, and we're doing this in kind of 2 parts. To you guys, it will be all in 1 part, but to the magic of editing, it will be 1 episode. Well, first of all, Jess, I gotta tell people who you are. I need to, before I jump to anything.
Everything.
I'm hashtag blessed to have my friend Jess. The first time we've ever talked face to face like this.
I know.
Do you realize that?
We apologize in advance for the nervous energy.
Oh, nervous, and we apologize in advance for how many times we're going to apologize during this whole...
And say sorry. It could be a drinking game, honestly. You know, it really could.
we would die.
We would be done. You all would be done.
I have known Jess for how long, Jess? Like 5 years or something stupid. Like, it's like been actually so long. We met in
2020, actually. Because of 2020. Yeah. Yep. Oh. Randomly one night, we were matched up on the same team on an Overwatch game in Mayhem.
Yep.
It's crazy to think that, like, if I hadn't logged in at a certain time on a certain day and you hadn't logged in on a certain time, we never would have met. Like, I was like, that's just...
Video games bring people together, and
it really does.
Let me tell you that I am so happy that I met you, and I'm so grateful to Overwatch, and the best Sombra in the game is right here.
Oh, no. Not even.
And... we have played Fallout 76 together a couple times, but we have a little bit of different Fallout
preferences. I have played all of the... okay, that's not true. I have played all of the games except for the one everyone says is the best one ever, which I think, Marie, that's your favorite one ever. New Vegas. It's like everyone's favorite. Yeah. I have a reason though. Here's my argument for it. It's not a diss on it at all. I'm sure it is, because my brother also says it's the best one, story-wise and everything. I got into playing video games super late. This is a personal thing where like I'm so stupid annoying with that I have a problem with like graphics. So when I only started what Xbox One was already a thing when I started playing video games. So I was late to the Fallout, all that, 360 had been a thing with New Vegas and stuff. So I tried to play the old one on the newer console, and the graphics just don't hold up. I wish they would remake New Vegas, like make it new. I would be so excited to play that.
Me too.
Because I never did. I couldn't get past it. But this is coming from the same person. This is a me problem. And I say that, yet I play Fallout 76, which is interesting at times. But I just couldn't get past the it just didn't hold up. So I didn't really get into New Vegas as much. I did play the others. I think my favorite one was 4 though. But yeah, I like the open world. Like I do a lot of just camp building stuff. And I used to Twitch stream and teach people how to like glitch their camps and like do all the weird how to break Fallout 76 even further. Do this and Todd will hate you forever. Like that's what I used to do. But anyway, yeah. So we played Fallout a little bit 76. Not a ton.
Yes, but that's my fault because I'll tell you how I like to play Fallout. So
She likes to
I
kill.
have been well, no, I don't like to kill. I like the quest. And the thing is, I have been playing video games like my whole life, but then there was a chunk in the middle of my life when I was like, going out and stuff and like living life. And I was like not into video games. Like, what's that? Who does that? Um, so there was a huge chunk of time when I didn't play video games until my brother, Rob, suggested to my husband that he should play Fallout 70, Fallout New Vegas. So then one day, he was playing Fallout New Vegas and I was sitting there watching and I wasn't into video games anymore really. And I was like, uh-oh, this looks like a game I could play. And then, so I hijacked Fallout 76. So sorry, Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
Hijacked it from him and got so involved with it. So I love Fallout New Vegas so much because it reignited my flame for gaming. It's like I owe Fallout New Vegas all the cred for like
Yeah,
getting me back
yeah.
into gaming. So it holds a very special place in my heart. I've probably played it over like 6, 7 times. I played that one before Fallout 3. I also love Fallout 3. Fallout 4, I like. I'm redoing it again right now too. But then they introduced the building aspect. Now, this is where Jess and I are very different. Because I couldn't care less about the building aspect. Like I'm like, I just want to go and
Listen, in all
quest.
fairness, I couldn't care less about it in Fallout 4. Like, I don't like it in
Oh
any of
yeah.
the original games. It's horrible. I don't like, I never could get into it really because I'm impatient and I don't like scavenging for
Mm,
all the resources to do all the building stuff. Like, that's so much work. In 76, you can trade with people on Facebook for a bunch of resources for like a weapon. And so I did a lot of trading back in the day. That was like my whole thing. I actually made some pretty good alliances doing that with some people who are well connected in the black market of Fallout. It did make me want to go back and play the games watching the show. Yeah, it does make you want to go like replay everything and then you'll
mm,
appreciate like all the little nuances I think in the show more once you like know that, because I did notice that when I was watching the show through, because like Marie said, I've seen the whole thing. She has not yet. So no spoilers yet. It is interesting to see the different reactions from people who have played the games versus people who haven't. And
right.
how what they notice or what they like or don't. Because I notice things that they goes over their head completely. Like
Hmm.
details, I think, go over the majority of the population's head who haven't played the games, because there's things like even the pictures in the frames, like the posters in the background are like faded out. And I'm like, that's in my house. I know what that is. Like, and it's like those little things that they just don't even like, they don't care about. I was like nerding out over in it. Like the details were so good, like in the show.
And this is the thing too, like why I like talking about the show with you and like Fallout with you too, is because we are like different types of Fallout players, and you've played a lot more 76 than I have, and I've played New Vegas, which you haven't. So there's things that I see where I'm like, that's from New Vegas. There was just something I saw yesterday, and I like started crying. I'm like, there's an Easter egg. I was so excited, and and then I can hear more like the 76 stuff.
I
And it's like I
have a
played 76,
question
but
though.
That, oh yeah.
about that because I don't know New Vegas because I haven't played it. Like I read it in message board, and maybe this is something that you won't know until you watch the whole thing ending. It's not a spoiler in any way, but like maybe you won't be able to answer it right now, is what I'm saying. Maybe you'll have an answer at the end of this for me. So if you don't have an answer, think on it, revisit later. So I read in the message board that one person's complaint, they said they were a big Fallout nerd. So they love the show, they said. And that's been the overall take I've been hearing from people and
Hmm.
reading and stuff. Their one nitpick that they said was that it made New Vegas not canon. And I
Not.
don't know what that means because I didn't play New Vegas. So for me, I wouldn't notice. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
so it might be something at the end that they're gonna make it not canon or something that will make more sense once you've seen the whole show. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's one complaint I saw that I again for me, I want answers because I don't know.
Well, the thing about New Vegas too is I almost don't see it as canon in general. Like I find it like a side quest. Like New Vegas
Okay,
is by like
interesting.
it's by like Obsidian did it, like a different company
Yeah.
made it. It seems to be like a
So do you think that's
separate.
probably what they were trying to like do with this since Todd Howard was in charge of the show? Like they kind of gave nods to it, but it like they were like, it was kind of like an homage kind of thing instead of like, hey, we're writing this into the lore or whatever exactly, like
Yeah, I
specifically.
I kind of think like I don't know what's going to happen, but I can see them doing that, and to me that wouldn't bother me because I kind of look at it like it's Fallout for sure through and through, but it's kind of its own separate entity in a way. So if they make it like it's not canon, then I wouldn't be mad about it because they're still throwing in nods to it, which makes me feel like warm and fuzzy inside. So it doesn't. I'll see when it's at the end. But when you first heard the show coming out and like saw the first trailer, what were your thoughts and feelings about the show before watching it?
Okay, honestly, all right.
Yes,
Mm.
honestly.
So before the trailer came out and I heard they were making a show,
Yep.
I said, huh. And then I said, who's making it? And it said Amazon. And I said, huh. Because that's not a dig again. Like, I just, first of all, there hasn't been, in my mind, a successful adaptation of a video game. When they first came out, I was like, okay, they're doing a show. All right. And I heard that like The Last of Us played a big role in Fallout getting made, actually, because it did so well that they were like, okay, we can actually put more budget and effort into this and it's a worthwhile investment. I read that in one of the comments somewhere from the people who made it. So thank you, Last of Us, for doing well. I because I think you walked and then Fallout sprinted past you. um I think and this is again for me seeing the whole thing, they knocked it out of the park. This I was so skeptical. Like I was wanting, I had so much faith. I wanted it to be good. Because I was like, please don't butcher this. Please don't butcher this. Like for me, I know for you, this is like your baby of like the games for like that's what got you in. Okay. That's how I feel about BioShock. So they better, I'm so stupid nervous for the BioShock one because that's Netflix. That's a whole nother thing. So the same reasons when it said Amazon and Fallout, I was like, it's the same feeling I'm getting when they say BioShock and Netflix. I'm like, but then I looked who was in charge of like the production. I saw that Todd Howard was going to be like directly, in works with it. So hopefully, he wants to honor his own creation and make it come to life. You hope that when the creator is involved, that they want it to be like the games in real life, which I hear is the same for BioShock, and the people he put in charge of making the BioShock are big fans of the game. So
Okay.
here's hoping that remains because they see how good Fallout did, and because they were so true to the lore on that they also follow in those footsteps. I hope Fallout does the same thing that The Last of Us did for Fallout. I hope Fallout does that for BioShock. That's my little, you know, pebbles and steps towards like progress in the adaptation of video games and film. Yeah, it's been a mess until now, I think, when it
Yeah,
comes to
it hasn't
those.
been great. It
So
has not been
no,
great.
it's been such a letdown, and it's not hard because that's what I don't understand. If anything, I think this show proved that all you have to do is just, they already did all the hard work. it's already there. Like video games are a form of cinema. Like it's already created. They did the hard work for you. They did all the designing. They did the characters. They did the story. They did the plot. They did all of it. Just take that and make it into a movie or a show. Just scoop there. It's so easy and effortless. Like you don't have to make your own version of something and put your own plot twist on it and to make it feel like it's yours and your take on something. Nobody wants that. No one in any fandom wants anyone's opinion on what it should have been. They want what was already made.
What it is.
In real
what
life.
it is. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I was hoping for. Now, when the trailer dropped, I cried. I was like, okay, it looks so good. I was like so hyped. I had hope. I had more hope.
And that was enough. That was enough for us.
That was enough.
It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad. See, that's the Fallout 76 in me coming out. I was like, it's not that bad. It's just kind of better than it was. Like, okay, we're getting there.
When I first heard, this is something when you have something that's so precious to you, something you've invested hours and hours and hours of your life into that you love so much, and they're going to make an adaptation for a show. In this day and age, I have no faith in anything. Like, I'm just like, it's good. I like to go in thinking it's going to be terrible, so I'm not disappointed. So I was like, all right, it's probably not going to be good. Then when the first trailer dropped, I was like you. I watched it, I think, like 6 times in the same day, cried every single time. The only thing I was worried about, the song, like everything made me cry. The only thing that I was worried about was the gore. But then again, it's a trailer.
Oh, interesting. What about that? Like not enough or too much?
Not enough, because I always play with the bloody mess perk on. So I'm like, I want to see heads.
Girl, yes.
I want to see.
Want the whole.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yes. Yep.
We talked about what we were worried about. We've talked about the trailer. Now let's get into when we first watched the first episode and how we felt about it. Okay. So one of my first notes was the gore and the violence. Yes. Thank God that
didn't it like do such a great job though at doing it like the game. It's almost in a comical way. It's not comical, but it's almost extra. Like it's more like it's like bloody mess. It's like they put bloody mess on. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not funny, but it's done in almost a humorous way that's like it's reminiscent of the video game. I loved it. I thought it was perfect.
100% gore like that's over the top. It's horrifying and it's like, oh my God. But at the same time, there's this level of excitement because they're going there. They're pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yes.
And they're giving us what the game is giving us. It's like Evil Dead gore is so gory and over the top. You're like, this is so exciting. Like, it's so fun. Why do I love this? And they did it, Jess. They did it with the gore. They nailed it.
It was perfect. That whole first episode, my first thing that I noticed in the first episode that I was actually, and this goes kind of back to what we were saying, like your hesitations, because I saw a lot of people's criticisms early on, and this might be, again, a hot take. It's not for me, but I think we had the same thought, you and I did, because we talked about this, when everyone was saying, oh, not a girl lead character again.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was like, okay, but like most people do choose the women for some reason. They always choose, like most of them, when they play Fallout for the first time, they would choose a female character. So okay, I get that, and I don't care either way. Like it's Fallout was always like that though. Like no one really cared either way. Here's what I didn't want it to be again. I have, and this again may just be a me personal problem with movies today and like cinema things, but as a female, tell me if you feel differently. As a female, I find it almost patronizing that like every stupid like movie ever is some girl boss thinking that it's not realistic. So I was not wanting like this to come in and her being like kicking all these people twice her size butt. She's been underground for forever, and suddenly like she knows how to like handle herself, and the dialogue was gonna be like, I can take this, I can handle this, I'm
yes,
blah blah blah, and just came out the gate kicking and was like beating up things and monsters twice her size and has no experience. Like cinematically today, in every other show ever and movies, it seems that's the narrative that they push. Is that I have nothing wrong with a female lead and a strong female lead, or like that. Cool, it's cool, but it's cheesy in the way they write it. It's almost like it's not realistic. There's no character arc to get you to that point. There's no growth. They just jump in out the gate, and it doesn't make sense. I'm like, there's no way in real life some girl is like half the size is going up against some guy that she's going to not get beat up. She might escape, maybe, but it's going to be a struggle. Man, that first whole, yes, I just said, yes, throw her into the oven. I was like, yes. I was like, I know, I feel so horrible, but I was like, it was so much of a relief because I'm like, okay, they're giving her someplace to go. She's literally being the naive, I've lived in a vault, like it would be, you know what I mean? Like it worked, and she still had her fighting stuff because it showed like she had done like little fighting and training stuff, but she'd never been in a real situation, so she's struggling. There's struggle there. She gets injured a lot. It's a struggle. It looks like a struggle. She fought her way to get better and to grow and to be that more stronger character. So for me, like that was my biggest thank you, Todd, thank you, whoever made that decision, thank you so much, because as a female, that's the kind of like characters we want to see in lead roles. Like, and maybe again it's just me, but like I can't speak for all of womankind ever. I'm sure some people love some of those characters, you know, they do, but like it's just annoying to me when they're like it's not realistic. You know what I mean? Like there are really good fighting women and strong women characters, and ones that you like for different reasons other than just being a girl boss. But even in the girl boss characters, they didn't start out as a girl boss. So like I don't like when movies and things just come in like, you know, guns blazing like that. So I appreciated that. That was my first like, okay, we're starting off good. Like take.
I didn't know how deep I wanted to get into this in this episode, but I think it has to be said. In a lot of movies, TV shows, they do take characters, make them women. They do take women characters and just make them flawless, just totally flawless, in charge, and like nothing can hurt them. They're unstoppable. They're perfect in every way.
Plot armor.
And that's yeah. Thank you. And that's just what we see. We see that a lot. And I would understand. So there's a lot of men angry online about the main character being a female. Okay. Well, main character, I mean, there's several main characters, but the vault dweller main character being a female. To me personally, when it's a game that where you can choose the gender, I forgive it. Also, I play it as a woman normally. So I'm just like, it just feels right to me. If they came out with a game, I like to use this comparison because you don't have the option. If they came out with a Red Dead game and they made Arthur Morgan a woman, I would be like, no, I'd be furious because you can't, it has to be him. So if they made something like that, they took an actual male character and they flipped it, made it a female, I'd be upset. I would. I mean, I do get upset when they do that. But this to me was like, it suited being a woman. So, and it suited being this small, delicate woman who's not all that delicate.
Yeah.
Like she is smart and she is feisty and she does have training. But it's just if this character, if you watch the show, even these first 4 episodes, if they had this script with this innocence and this like naive purity and it was a man, it
doesn't make sense.
Right. It would not sit
he
right at
would
all.
come out like more guns blazing. Things wouldn't have as much impact.
No.
Like the scary things or like the vulnerability side, yeah, it just doesn't fit. You're right. Like I think they made the best choice they could.
Yeah.
In that, I'm so glad at the approach of it. Also, can we just take a moment for Rico from Hannah Montana? Because like I was so excited that Moises Arias I didn't know he was going to be in the show, and the little brother and everyone's critique of him like right off the gate was like, oh, I don't like this character. Oh, like, you know, people I was with, they were like, oh, he's wimpy hid and blah, 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 and they didn't like his acting or whatever. And I'm like, see, I think they're going somewhere on purpose with this. Give it time. By the time you get to the end of this, Marie, I swear Norm is going to be one of your favorites. Like, it's my favorite plot line in the whole thing. And you know why? It's because I want to know the secrets. Like, I want to know what's going on. Like, and his plot line is doing a lot of that kind of like revealing the things. So I like when it goes to the Norm plot line throughout it. But yeah.
I'm halfway through and he's really starting to grow on me already. Just sorry, real quick. I also when Lucy started getting her butt kicked in that kitchen, I right away said out loud, at least she's taking, like, at least they're beating her up. Like, at least they're, so it's like, I'm like, no mercy, man. Give it to her. Like, this is realistic.
This is how it would have around. Like, if it was going to be a struggle, it's going to be a struggle. And can we take a moment for that special effects makeup on his face? Oh my goodness, they deserve all the awards. Like, that was so good. Like, just because obviously we all thought, you know, oh, he's dead. He's dead. Like, but then he comes back with like the whole can opener face, and you're just like,
oh gosh.
like it was so, and in the pickle juice. In the pickle juice. Oh, I just was like the burning on top of the drowning. Like,
Jess, I wish we could. Every single thing that you picked up on, I said out loud. I'm like, oh my god, it would sting so bad in that pickle juice.
thank you. That was me. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, it was so much.
Okay, so we loved all that. Another thing we need to touch on from the get-go, like the biggest thing to me and to I think you in this show right from the hop was the attention to detail of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every single aspect of the show, every
Hyper
item,
detailed.
every image, every scene, every
I
set.
know because you played the games. I know when he's taking those pictures, you're like, that's the broken camera. Like the broken cameras you pick up all over the place. Like literally everything was like the exact perfect details. Yes, like even in the picture frames, like everything. I loved it. Like it again was interesting to me because like if I was watching it with like you, we are like geeking out all these things that are from the game, all of the details. Anyone who's played the games, I think you are doing that. But when I'm watching it with people who've never played it, they're just as enthralled with the world building, but they don't really appreciate what the extent of detail that people went through to make it like what it is. So to them, that's just it looks good. But like when like no, someone took the exact time to make this come to life specifically. Like everything from like down to the fabrics and the wallpapers are the same. Like
My god,
that level of attention to detail was nuts. And speaking of, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, attention to detail, and tying in with video games. I had this is a funny conversation I had with a friend of mine. He actually had he's the biggest Fallout geek that I know personally, and he knows all the lore. He knows everything, like what's canon, what's not. Like I don't even know that. I played the games and I watched the show. He was going into like what he liked and didn't like, and he had criticisms right off the bat from the trailer because something about the power armor wasn't correct, like didn't connect in the right way or something with the helmet. I didn't pay attention. I don't know, but it probably had a reason they did it that way, but something on it wasn't right. He was like, oh, I don't know. When it got to the scene, and I think it's either episode 3 or 4. I think it's 3. No, it's not 3 or 4, it's 2 or 3, but I think it's 3. It's when everyone starts to finally meet up, all the characters in that town, in that fight scene where he's the ghouls like taking down everybody like cowboy style, and Maximus shows up in his power armor. It's at the end, and Maximus blasts off, and then he looks at his arms and he's kind of confused why there's jetpacks coming out of his arms. Yeah, and he's like that, and then he's like, oh cool, and then he just goes. Okay, the average viewer is like, okay, he just realized his arm has jetpacks, and it's like, oh okay, cool, I have arm jetpacks. My geek friend who knows all about Fallout and is a big Fallout 76 like nerd was upset about that because he was like, that's not where the jetpacks are on the armor like that. And I that kind of made me a little bit like, I'm like, that's a complete nod to, we broke Fallout 76. That's Todd Howard being like, because what happened was in Fallout 76, there was a time in the Dark Ages where we we broke the game a lot, and Todd got really mad at us because what happened was there was a dupe going on where people were able to put jetpacks on arms of power armor, and they were duping them, and so that you were jetpack arms, and they were selling for a lot of money. Like a lot of American dollars. Like you were making like $50 a pop on these things. Like, yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm so mad at my friend for not knowing this because him and our mutual friend who plays the game had a whole shop. They built a whole camp that was like a workshop just for duping this, that they made a joke out of it. They built a whole camp and they had it set up just for duping these things. And what would happen was when you did it, you knew someone was duping on that server because wherever you were, even if you weren't the one duping it, the whole server would freeze. Every time someone was duping, it would freeze the server until the point if there was too many people doing it, it would crash the server entirely. So it was almost impossible during this time to play Fallout 76 because there were so many people duping on all these servers and crashing them. And so all that was a joke at Fallout 76's jetpack arms that like they had been doing, and he was confused as like why he had jetpacks in his arms, and it was like, oh. And I told my friend that, and he was like, I did not even get that. That's hilarious. And he just started laughing. I'm like, I got it right away. I was cracking up. I was like, oh my goodness, Todd can take a joke, because like people made a lot of money off of this game, like scamming it really and crashing his game, but he was able to like put that into as a joke. And I don't like that whole thing, I'm sure went over the majority of the population's head if they didn't play Fallout 76 and know about it. But yeah, no, it was things like that, like the attention to detail and jokes. Some of them I'm sure like went even deeper than what I picked up on.
Mhm.
Which is why I'd be interested to see like a bunch of people's like, all the Easter eggs you missed in episode blah blah. Because like I'm sure I missed a ton of them, but like
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
really appreciated all that. And the opening scene with like just the cold open of just all the drops all over the town. Because the
Oh my
first one
God.
happens and you're like, oh no. And you know what's happening because they did the whole thumbs up thing and the
Yeah.
explanation and stuff, and you know what's happening. The visuals on that were so good too. Like the special effects, that could have gone bad so quickly, so easily, cheap looking. You know what I mean? Like,
So far, that's another thing that I was really scared about for the show was the special effects because I was
yeah.
they can look so bad, and even
Mm-hmm.
this day and age, if they want to like skimp
Listen,
on like paying like, but this show so far, I'm only in done number 4, but so far I'm like I don't really
it's
have any
great.
complaints
you
about
you don't
the
notice
effects at
like
all.
this is like okay, this is reminding me of like golden age, like Avengers Disney when the special effects were good, not like now Disney special effects. And yes,
Yeah,
no, not pulling punches here. Okay, like literally like the special effects and stuff now, they cut corners, and it's not the special effects people's fault. I mean, you go and look at any of those studios and the teams on them, and 9 times out of 10, here's the problem with shows today. The reason that you get bad results and bad special effects is because these big companies want these games and these shows out by ridiculous deadlines.
uh,
They are understaffed, overworked. They don't have the time to make it as good as it needs to make it. And as a creative myself and as a writer myself, I understand like the frustration and anger that a lot of these people must be feeling when the product comes out and they know it's going to be garbage and it's representing of like their own creativity. It's like a self-representation of their own work, and people just trashing it because it is garbage, it wasn't ready, and it's not their fault. Like they have the
mm,
ability to make something really good. They're really talented. Their hands are tied. It's some guy in an office who wants to make a
yeah.
buck and who's ever in charge and just is like, nope, do this, nope, do that. And they don't get a say in how things are made half the time. So again, just like you said, I was concerned with when they said Amazon, what that was going to look like, because Fallout, while a lot of it is practical and a lot can be pulled off with practical, there is a lot of aspects that need to have CGI. I mean, you're dealing with
Yeah.
some big, massive scale project here, and
Yeah.
literally, and to make that look not cheesy is a task. I think they nailed it. Like I was so impressed. Like I mean, whoever Amazon, good job. You did it.
Another thing we were saying about like the attention to detail, like I had so many things like, oh, the soundtrack, I'm crying, the turret, the dead droid, I forget what kind of droids are called, but they're in Fallout
The
4, the ones that
Assaultrons.
thank
Yeah.
you, the Assaultron laying there. I was like, oh my gosh. She's even laying down by the campfire sleeping in the exact position that they sleep in Fallout. With the
Yep.
hand like this and bent, everything's so, and I said every single prop, but the sound design too, the sound and the sound effects, every little nugget of sound from the power armor, everything that I'm hearing from like guns, I'm like, this is from the game. This is exact. This is the exact sounds.
Exactly. It's like it was so good, and it's showing in the reviews. It's showing even the people who are the biggest like nerds and like nitpick fandom since day one are loving it. And even if they have something to complain about, it's usually very small and nitpicky. My complaint we'll get to in the next half of this. It's not. It's just another personal thing. I know other people probably wouldn't care, but me from a
Mhm.
it I have conflicted feelings from a personal standpoint. I didn't want it. When I put on my script writing hat and my film hat, I can logically walk through why they did it, and I
Right.
can explain that, and I will later. But as a viewer, me personally, I was like, I didn't want that felt really shoehorned in. My thing with Fallout that I appreciated so much, where again, this isn't a jab at the Last of Us game because I didn't play the game, so this has nothing to do with like the content of the show. Where I have an issue with shows, and what I had an issue, my biggest issue with The Last of Us was the fact that, and again, maybe this is how the game was, and maybe it's a completely mute point, but for me, when a show forgets or a movie forgets what the point is supposed to be about, like the threat, what is the threat? Fallout, it's the wasteland,
Mm-hmm.
it's all these other factions, it's, they're all trying to get the same thing. The threat was the nuclear explosions of everything, but now it's the wasteland, right? Okay, so that's the
Yeah.
point, the whole point of your show, that's that. Okay, when a show or movie loses the point of what it's supposed to be about, and it goes on a tangent of like, okay, we're switching what the threat is. The problem is a lot of shows, I think, and I know this is how they do it, but I don't think it's necessarily smart,
Yeah.
is they're writing as they go, they get bored, they have to come up with new ideas, and then you jump the shark. And then you're like, okay, I'm done. Like at some point, most of the audience is like, okay, that was it. I think it's when the show loses the heart of what it's supposed to be about, and we get to like wrapped up in these not necessarily side quests, but like things that don't matter, that we lose focus of like what the point is. Like for me, The Last of Us, the best parts of that show is when you're involved with like there's a threat, that's the whole thing, there's the clickers, there's the things, they're gonna get you. If you make noise, they're gonna get you. You know what I mean? Like you have to be quiet,
Mhm.
you gotta be stealthy. Okay, so do all rules come out the window in like episode whatever, 7, 6, whatever that was, when we're just talking, having a loud conversation in the woods? Like, do they not exist in the woods? I thought they're all underground. You know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of stupid writing where I'm just like, okay, so for 25 minutes, we're going to have this loud arcade scene. We're going to be playing games in the mall where there's one around the corner. You're not going to tell me that thing woke up, like, and came over there in that time. I thought these things were a threat. See what I mean? It's that kind of just dumb.
Mm.
Like, we're changing the rules as we go because it's in the script, not because it's
Mhm.
how it's supposed to be. Like, if the rules are, you got to be quiet, these things will get you, they can sense these things, that's the rules of like the game or the rules of your plot line, stick to your rules. You can write around those rules and still have it be a threat or whatever. But there's whole episodes in The Last of Us and stuff that was just, we're going to talk really loud in the woods all day long on our trip and nothing's going to attack us. And I'm like, that's not realistic. And then all of a sudden, it did the same thing that Walking Dead did, where those are no longer the biggest threat, it's people. And a lot of shows do that. And I'm like, okay, people are always going to be a threat, but we're not just going to throw out the fact that the biggest point of your whole show is zombies. Like the biggest point of the
Yes.
whole thing was that. Fallout never did that. I think where Fallout differs though is that Fallout has a bunch of people are the problem. So it's not like you have an extra outside thing besides now the nuclear animals and mutant things that exist now in the world that you have to deal with that didn't exist before. Yeah, that's the third party extra player in the game. But
Mhm.
I think they're just giving you a taste of that in this season. I think the next
Mhm.
seasons they're going to delve more into that extra element because this is kind of introducing you to the different factions.
Okay, so what you're saying about Fallout and like where it's going to go and everything like that, I'm getting just a taste of that now. And you're saying yes, the wasteland is the biggest threat. Why? Because of the huge threat that happened. And because of the huge threat, these are all the threats. Now the factions and everybody spend for yourself type mentality and all the mutated things. But you are seeing and you're learning that there's the threat of the people inside the vaults. What was their part? There's so much of this in the backstory too, in the lore, and like every Fallout game where you go and you read all the terminals and you're
All
like,
yep.
wait a sec. And they're doing that in the show.
I
And
know it's
it's
so
like,
good.
and I love how you're seeing like who's more messed up, the people in the
Mhm.
vaults or the people above ground? Like who's
Mhm.
more? And I really like I don't know what's going to happen with the character arcs for these characters, but one of my favorite things so far about this, well, two things. One of my favorite things about this show so far, and that relates to the gameplay, is in when you play Fallout, you can kind of choose what your character is going to be. Are you going to be
Yes,
evil? Are
I
you
know
going
where
to
you're
be
going with this.
yeah, it's like, are you going to be evil? Are you going to be good? And there's karma aspects in the game, and people.
Yeah,
So all your choices you make, you can be like
the
bad or good, and or
choices.
neutral. And it seems like all these characters are like, you don't know what they're going to become. And like, even with Lucy, she's kind of like naive and like almost, I don't say emotionless and lacks depth, but she's so just like happy go lucky. And it's like, she hasn't been through the hardships of life
Mm-hmm.
at all yet. She's starting to now. So
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna swap to be, I'm guessing, a more in-depth character with just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more edge and a little bit more smarts and everything to her. And then you have like the Brotherhood of Steel guy Maximus, and you're like, he's got an edge. Why is he so angry? And you know, there's something in him that can either twist, go either way. Like he can
Mm-hmm.
switch it, go either way. And same with the
Mm-hmm.
ghoul. You know, with the ghoul at his core, he's a good person, but now you know, he's mad at stuff. So he stuff happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he can swap either
I
way,
can't
and it's
wait till
just
you
like
finish
the
this
great.
show. I can't
That's
wait.
just
I'm
like
just saying. Oh, grief.
that's
It's
like the heart of the
yes,
games,
it
and
is.
that's what they're
I
doing in the
pointed that out
show.
too. I said that I was leaving because you know like we leave voice messages to each other all the time. I was leaving voice
Mhm,
messages because it's too much to talk to the group chat of the guys who played Fallout is what I was talking to because I
mhm,
was the only one who'd watched the show.
mhm.
And I said the same thing. I said, you know, something I just now noticed that I really appreciate was the fact that even is it episode 1, and she's like, it's one of life's tricky little choices, wasn't it, or something like that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
throughout the whole show, it almost plays like every single character goes through these like dialogue options. You know what I mean? Like they
Speech
make
check,
choices.
speech
Yes,
check.
yeah, and you couldn't even notice it. There's a specific episode. I think it's episode 6. It feels like she almost made like the wrong dialogue choice, you know what I mean? And got a response that was almost comically written. Like it was written like, you know, when you make an NPC mad and they kind of
Yes.
like say these random like get out of here, you kind of things, you know, at you, and you're like, all right, you know, like crap, I didn't have the charisma to like make the right decision. You know, it felt like that. So I really appreciate that somebody else picked up on that because I had the same thing. I was like, I felt like the characters themselves were put into NPC positions where like they had dialogue and choices to make in their own storylines. It was really cool.
Another thing that I loved seeing so much is they have those raiders in the jail in the vault. And this is when I start loving the brother. Okay. This is when I was like, hell yeah. And then they're trying to be diplomatic and all like they can learn and blah, blah, blah. And you know, and as a viewer and as a video game player, and you're watching, and you're like, no, they can't
It's the
get rid
Raiders.
of them.
You're
Like,
like,
get rid of them. And then, but what I thought was so good, they're like, well, they don't know. They weren't educated. They don't know. And usually in movies and shows and stuff, they want you to side with the people who are going to be more like just and caring and like
mm-hmm,
these people don't have the education. We
mm-hmm,
need to rehabilitate them, and that's
mm-hmm.
the way to go. That's the good way. But this show is making it like, you know, that's not right. You need to be
Marie,
ruthless.
listen, I will say this, and it's not a spoiler, but by the end,
Mhm.
I was talking to myself out loud watching the last episode. There's a reason why
Yes.
it's rated 9 on IMDb. I was sitting there and I was like, this is a great social commentary. This is a great
Oh.
social commentary. I was like, this whole show was a great social commentary. Like, yep. People need
Okay.
to be looking at this
Okay.
deeply.
I love this coming from you because we share very similar views on the world. And I got from that one episode, I already was like, I love this social commentary because it's not one you see very often anymore.
Yep.
And I think should be pushed more. And usually we as viewers and as like shows and movies put out, it's one agenda social commentary that they
Mm-hmm.
show. And that's it. That's it. That's all
I
we're being
love
fed.
this show because the reason I say it's such a great social commentary, it was very zoomed out. And what I mean by that
Mhm.
is that it wasn't, it was saying, okay, you think it's this way because this is what this, but this is how this affects this side. It's just a great zoomed out perspective
Mhm.
without being specific on like these are this group of people and this is this group of people in the world and this is this group of thinking. It doesn't do that. It doesn't be like, okay, this is, you know, this political party or this belief system or whatever. It's made up for this, but you can see where things lie if you're got two brain cells. And it really shows that like there's a lot of gray areas, and
Yeah.
that it's there's not always a good guy, like,
Hmm.
and that's for me, it's the same kind of revelation as like I saw a quote or something. It was like Scooby-Doo taught us that like the villains aren't the people that you the strangers you meet in the street, it's the people that you know.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of like, huh, because the people you thought you're rooting for, or the people that you know, when you really look at it and you really put it into today's actual world of who it is, like it makes you think. It's very
Hmm.
deep, and it's very cleverly written deep. And I think more people need to think deeper and look at it as for what it is. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
That's what I like about this show, though. There are going to be people who are going to look at it deeper.
Mm-hmm.
People who can view it deeper and want to view it deeper will. But also, it's just like you can look at it very on the surface just for
Oh
fun
yeah,
entertainment, and it's still just
exactly.
as
And
good.
it's still just as
And
good.
it's just,
I would liken it to like the Hunger Games. Similar.
mm, okay,
Where like you watch the Hunger Games and you're like, this is a great story. This is also an onion. Like, you know, if you really want to go there, you can go there. But like it's also just a great, you know, action show or movie. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's to me.
it's honestly like for everybody. And you know what this is what I thought about. I know you were saying earlier, and I agree with you on all of it, except there's one thing that I think a little bit differently on. When you were like, you got Fallout here. It's easy. Just like you got all the hard work. Just make it, right? I was thinking this too, though. Like they really captured the tone of the video game. And the tone of the video games is everything. It's like light and happy, but also dark and gritty and
Mm-hmm.
violent and gory, but as heart. And it's comedic, but also serious and deep. And that's what the video game is. When you play for hours and hours, you see all these aspects of it. But honestly, thinking about and doing this successfully, translating all those things as a whole onto screen, I think is difficult because you can view it as this doesn't have an identity, or like what's this show trying to be? Is it trying to be funny?
Yeah.
Is it trying to be dark? But
Oh
for
yeah.
some, they
It could
did
get
it
messy
though.
real quick.
It can, but they did it. I don't know. They made it everything, and everything works, and it's the exact vibe feeling of the game, and they effing did it, Jess.
They
They
did
pulled
it
it off somehow. Some
so good.
magical, they so far in my 4 episodes, they did it. Jess, what else do you want to say about the first 4 episodes before I go into the last chunk?
Well, a couple interesting thoughts. I was looking up I on IMDb, and I was interested to see like the highest rated episodes in the season versus like the lowest ones. And the lowest ones were the first two, which I would not have said. I would have said episode 6. But that was just me, but it wasn't. Like the last episode was the highest rated, and the lowest ones were the first two, which was interesting to me. I think also talking with other people, some of their like hesitations in like the acting were on certain characters. I was like, hey, give them time. They have to have character growth. You know what I mean? Like they're written that way on purpose, guys. Like not everybody sees it that way. They weren't bad actors. I think one of them was like a Maximus. They're like, he's like awkward and like it doesn't feel like he, or the brother, like Norm. And I was like, it's it's purposeful. Then you see him snap like Maximus, and you're like, okay, did he do the thing? You know what I mean? Like you're asking questions, and I'm like, and what I saw was I saw somebody who handled as an actor the awkwardness and like the weird, like just almost like backwards acting a little bit, like sheltered person, shy, kind of wants to be liked, wants to belong kind of personality, well, and then watched an actor just go from there to like beating up a toilet and screaming. And I was like, there's range there. I was like, that's some range. There's like you said the same thing. You're like, there's some snap ability. Like, where is he gonna go? Like, is he good? Is he like unhinged? You know what I mean? And so there's some like character, like we get to see what that happens with that. Norm I think is gonna be my favorite character arc though.
I'm loving it so far. Really,
Yeah.
really, really loving it. He's like the little nerdy recluse who like seems
Yeah.
like he's, but
Now see,
they
our
have
our
stuff.
our mutual friend had a lot to say about like the first couple episodes and criticizing Norm. Did not like Norm. I said, think of the games. Lucy Her approach is like the strength and perception character where they're going out and doing the things. Her brother is like the stealth, luck, like sneak mission stuff. So he's more of the brain. He's doing the she's gonna go try to take things down on the outside in the wasteland. He's gonna try to do the same thing on the inside, from the inside, and find out. It's
Yes.
just two different approaches, just like two different ways to play a game, which I appreciated. And they made them
Yes.
siblings, and it was cool.
Well, that's what I'm noticing too with every character is you're absolutely right. They're like character builds, and it's like everything is like what you can choose to be and what your special is going to be upped in your special. Like that's
Exactly.
what did you put your points in the special? Like you can tell what all these people are. Okay,
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I'm excited to go into it. I'll give my little things. I have like little quick jot notes. First of all, the soundtrack. I love how they are actually taking songs from the game. Like one of my favorite things about Fallout in general is not only the aesthetic, where it's like I love the whole 1950s aesthetics, like my favorite, but that they threw it in the future. Love it. They captured that perfectly, but the music from that era is one of my favorite, and I love that they're taking actual songs from the game radio because I always have the radio on when I play the game. I always have it on.
I can't listen to just the normal game music. It's creepy. I want to listen to like I want to be Bloody Mess, and I want to hear like
the Andrews sisters like singing
want
like
to set the world on fire. Like I'm like, yes I do. I'm setting it on fire right now. All of
right
it.
now. This is my soundtrack. I know.
Like
I absolutely love that. My only complaint about it so far has to do with like musically, and my only complaint so far about the whole show is the score that they use for the ghoul, like his theme music with the wailing.
I said the same
non
thing. Sorry, I'm getting too worked up and warm and I'm coughing. Hold on, I'm gonna mute my mic. Right now, my face is turning red. No, I said the same thing, Marie. I said the same thing. You know what it reminded me of? And it's on my list of like worst cinematic moments I've ever seen ever, and it's like on tier. That it was what, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'd forgotten about that until you said it. See, that's why I needed you to watch these like right. Aquaman did the same thing when Aquaman landed in Aquaman 1, and he lands and he turns around, it's like this rock music, and he does this dramatic turn, it's like and I'm like, there's a zoom in on his face every time they do the ghoul, and it's like that woo woo woo, and I'm like, what is this? Like it's so random. Like I hated it. I hated that. Like
it's too much. It's too much. It's starting to die out now. It's starting to die out now. But they did it too often. Like even when he busts out of the coffin, I'm like, okay, this music is cheesy, throwing me out of it. But I was hoping it would just be that one scene. But they kept doing it, and I'm like,
Marie,
is this Middle Eastern music? No, still even in the new.
Doing it. It's annoying now. And the way they're doing it is weird. It's off-putting because you're doing that zoom in close up of his face, and it's like very on the nose, like very just like specific.
No pun intended with that ghoul nose.
No,
but, you know.
No nose, off the nose,
in
the skull, no, like, but it's too exact, and I hate that in cinema. Like if they're like, it's a cool moment where they're like doing an electric guitar, or it's like you're a cowboy, here's your cliche cowboy music. It's corny. It's cliche. It was unnecessary. I think that was a misstep. I would agree 100%.
And then a couple. I also love how they're adding in aspects from every single game. Every single game is put in this show. They're not leaving anything out. And like they have the sunset sarsaparilla sign I saw, or like a crook of sunset sarsaparilla, which is only in Fallout New Vegas. My favorite Easter egg so far was I don't know if it was episode 3 or 4, but they're on like, what do they call it? Soundstage? No, a movie lot, where it's like back when the ghoul was human, and he's walking through like the movie lot, and walking by on the same movie lot is guys dressed up like Roman people, and that's from Caesar's Legion in Fallout New Vegas. And I like started crying. I'm like, oh my god, it's Caesar's Legion people, like they dressed like that.
Like, not to be weird or anything, but like I appreciated how like funny and backwards the sex jokes were, like, and awkward. It is in the vein of Fallout humor. Like the jokes fit the game, so I appreciate it because you're staying in that same vein of like accuracy to me. Like I don't know, I thought that was funny. I was like, it just, the backwardsness and like weirdness because everyone's so awkward and been underground forever and don't know anything. Like
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's just
dark and
funny.
it almost adds to the realism of it.
Well,
And I
yeah.
love okay, well, and they're being real with stuff too, man. Like that water breaking, but also not to be like, sorry, this is gross. But in the first episode, when the guy walks over to the curtain and cleans himself off afterwards, I was like, thank you for showing someone cleaning off after intimacy because they never show that in shows.
But
So you
I
don't
like that
just
they
get
did
up
it
and walk
that way
around.
because in a weird way, like I like that they did it that way because it gave you were already getting vibes that something was off.
Yeah,
But you were like, that was a big tell because you were like, a
that's
vault
barbaric.
person wouldn't do that. Like, and then they walked over and act like they never seen a sink before. And then you're like, and then the
I
way he was
know.
just like, and then you're seeing it in real time.
Yeah,
And it was a cinematically good way to play it out. I mean,
it,
it plays it out real, like it or not, it's realistic. I mean,
yep.
as far as like, I know we're saying it's realistic in a made up game world, but you know what I mean? Like, in as if that was a real thing, it plays out realism well. Another thing I think they did well, and it kind of goes into what we've been saying, was I feel like they played really well into letting the viewer figure things out in real time with whoever storyline is going through, like they're going through with them. Like
Yes.
you're playing the game, like you're helping, like you're watching it happen. Because I think a lot of times in movies and stuff nowadays, they spell everything out for you and
Oh God,
treat the
yeah.
audience like you're stupid. And I think people in movies, or at least I do when I go to see a movie, like I love being shocked. I love being surprised. I like figuring things out. It's one of my favorite part about film. So if I find a movie that like knocks my socks off because I didn't see that coming, and I pay attention to that kind of stuff, and it had a great plot twist, I want to figure it out like with them. And then you're talking to the characters. You find that you're like,
Uh-huh.
do this, do this, make this choice. And that's the cool part because it puts you in the shoes. It makes you feel like you're making those decisions and those little tough choices that like
Yeah.
those key moments. And like I love that they actually put the line in there that's like, you know, they shows sometimes will have those little phrases that are like I see dead people, you know what I mean? They're like the little
Yeah.
phrases that are like the little key things that are like early hints early on that you don't even realize, or like little sprinkles of like,
Little
this is
nuggets.
what's, yeah. And that's one of them where it's just like life's tough little choice, and you're just like, whoa, like the whole, it's
Oh,
a big onion, like this is a big onion, like it goes a lot bigger than you're thinking.
I love it when movies and stuff surprise me too. And know what I love even more? I love when I think I got it all figured out. I'm like, this is what's going to happen. Oh, I bet it's this. And I love when it's like, nope. And they prove me wrong. Even if the movie itself isn't that great, I love it when it's like in your face, you thought one thing and I'm going to make it something. Oh, I like being shocked too. That's
Oh
like the
yeah.
best thing.
Well, and that's what
Oof.
I loved about this, because there are things that you think about some things or people, our brains, because I know you think a lot similarly to I do. Like you're always looking at everybody a little bit skeptically, and you're always looking at anyone like, but I know that you're also, because you're trained, because movies have taught us to train to look at the people you least expect, and we're looking at them like that's the guy. And this movie surprises you, or not movie, this show surprises you in ways because it's, without giving away things, it's like it's not always what you think because you're looking for it in the least expected place, you know, and in the least
Mhm.
expected people. Sometimes, sometimes not.
Well, I have my theories as to what some things are. I have some theories. The dad, clearly there's some sketch stuff with the dad actually. I'm wondering if Maximus actually hates the Brotherhood of Steel and he's trying to infiltrate it from the inside. I don't know. There's something about him that's so, it shows him as a little kid all the time looking at the Brotherhood of
Yeah,
Steel and like happy, but I'm like, aren't you though? Like did they
yeah,
save you or did they, like I don't know what's going on there. But I have my
yeah,
theories. Just I need to say that this is going to be 2 episodes. We were ambitious. We were
yes,
ambitious going into
yes.
this thinking I was going to turn it into one. It would have been a 3 hour long episode if I did that. We got so into so many things and it got so deep and I'm not even there yet. I'm not even
You're
at
not
the
even
end
done.
in this.
You don't even
And
know.
this is
I've been holding back. If you knew what
oh,
I knew, this thing would have been a 5 hour long conversation. Like,
okay.
you have no idea.
When I watch it, I'm gonna be messaging you, and I am super excited to watch it and just get back into this and be so excited. And but for now, I think the show is near perfect, and it is a
I would
masterpiece.
agree. Yes.
First, I want to say thank you to the lovely Jess for being on here with me. I was so excited.
Thank
Looking
you
forward
for
to this
having
day.
me. I
Oh
was
my God.
too. I know, like I said, I wore my Fallout shirt, and you'll finish the show, and it's gonna be great, and you're gonna be so happy. You're gonna, I
Okay.
know it.
You can find more of my content on our YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can follow us on YouTube and no, sorry, I already said YouTube. You can follow us on, I'm too excited, Instagram and Twitter at Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Marie Plays It All. Is there anywhere we can follow you, Jess? Do you want people to follow you? You just want to chill on Twitch
I'm
or
just a
Instagram? Nothing?
guest. I am a +1. I'm the date of the evening.
You're my
No.
companion.
Yes.
So at the end of every episode, I say never stop playing, and also never stop playing Fallout. Sure. And also never stop what, Jess? What should people never stop doing?
Never stop, never stopping.
That's been said by lots of people, and I love
I
that.
don't
Never
know.
stop.
I'm
Never
sure.
stop.
I'm sure
Never
it has.
stop it. I love it. That's like the go-to. I love it when people
Never
are like,
stop. Thumbs up. Make sure it's not bigger than your thumb.
I was gonna say that's what she said, but that's not what she said.